Introduction. Human nature strives for expansion, guided by curiosity and motivation to conquer more of this world with a desire for permanency. For centuries, people have made serious and exciting discoveries through science that reveal hidden parts of our universe. The purpose of human life has transformed as life-sustaining conditions have evolved, and now the challenge is to overcome our limits rather than just survive. All of that thanks to the development of science. The dream of many scientists and engineers is to take the next step and conquer the cosmos as one of our greatest challenges, and humans have begun exploring it with different tools, telescopes, satellites, rovers, spacecrafts. The International Space Station was a huge step in adapting mankind to the hostile environment that existed outside our planet. Now we are ready to make a permanent home for humans in space in order to grant future generations a vast range of opportunities. Honeycomb, an entire living system where each individual serves the ultimate purpose of helping the whole. Bees are one of the most united species, sometimes sacrificing their own lives in order to protect their home, while also producing something sweet and soothing. Fortunately, there won't be any sacrifices on our settlement. Honeycomb creates a sweet home for a society that sustains itself through a sense of unity. The queen of its honeycomb is the ultimate purpose of expansion. Using bees of our inspiration, we designed a settlement constructed of six hexagonal prisms. The reason behind this design is not only ideological and for aesthetic purposes, but as well as granting a future extension as society continues to grow.
Ganymede. Where do we locate this promising settlement in order to grant all the resources for people to have everything they need? Air, water, food, and protection against the difficult conditions of space. In this sense, Ganymede is a really promising satellite of Jupiter's, as it has its own magnetic field as well as supplies of water in the form of ice, and it's an atmosphere made mostly of oxygen. The only disadvantage is that the orbit of Ganymede is located in the same distance from the planet as Plasma Taurus, a ring of plasma generated by US volcanic activity. Ganymede is also orbital resonance with the two other Galilean moons, Io and Europa, making it easier to predict trajectories for the mission. Europa and Io are also rich in resources, as Io's surface is mostly entirely covered in volcanoes, and Europa is a satellite that may have oceans underneath.
Mechanical bees. Gathering resources from space is a really challenging aspect of living on a settlement. In order to collect resources from Jupiter's satellite, there must be various missions that need optimal technology. Given this and our choice for a honeycomb-inspired settlement, our gatherers will be mechanical bees, incorporated with antennas to grant communications to Honeymoon, plutonium-based RTGs, and two legs attached to an empty chamber for carrying resources, each chamber adapted to the type of material it is carrying. The whole concept of building a settlement that can expand is essential for a society that will last for many generations, especially an advanced one that creates lots of new technologies.
The construction phases are the following. Phase 1. In the first stage, the construction of the central hexagonal prism will take place on Earth orbit, serving as storage for materials needed to build the other parts. Afterwards, it will be launched in space. The second phase will consist of building the scaffolds for the other parts. Following the third stage, where the walls for the external parts formed by six combs, and then the interior. In the last phase, the extension of the settlement will start by adding additional combs on the exterior of the ones already built.
Shielding. Outer space is not a hospitable environment for humans, as it has the most critical conditions. Most of the matter in the universe is the form of plasma because it continues the blocks that build the most essential structure in order for life to flourish, stars. Although, because objects in the cosmos are so far away from each other, most of it is very cold and blank. Given the fact that Honeymoon's orbit will be located within the plasma torus and without a proper protection, people would not last a moment in that environment. Fortunately, Ganymede's magnetic field will block most of the radiations, although the radiation levels would still be lethal. Gathering a large magnetic field is not an optimal solution as it would require most of our resources, so we thought of making this settlement self-sufficient while also limiting cost as much as possible. In a cold environment of space, it is easy to make metals reach a superconductive state. Using Meissner effect, a superconductive shield can repel ionized particles by mirroring their magnetic field. Homogeneous clusters, as aluminum atoms, have a critical temperature higher than that of empty space. In order to prevent any heat released and grant protection against impact, carbon nanotubes will be placed along the aluminum outer walls. Carbon nanotubes are known as the hardest materials ever made, and it contains of single atoms columns.
Energy. In a space station of this complexity, there is a heavy requirement for an efficient, safe, and low emission energy source. Ganymede is too far away from the sun for us to exploit solar power, but because of the ice that can be found in its surface, we can use hydrogen fuel cells. Although as we can't 100% rely on them, we thought about using plasma as our energy source. The development of energy industry on Honeymoon will be made gradually in order to correspond to its needs at that specific moment. Stellarators are nuclear fusion reactors that accelerate plasma using a superconductive magnetic confinement. The temperatures inside a stellarator are as cold as an empty space or hotter than the core of the sun. Using mechanical beads with superconductors incorporated with superconductors to deliver the plasma to the stellarators, so there won't be a need to waste more energy on making the fusion start. Although the development of nuclear power will take place in a more advanced and stable stage of our settlement because it requires a big economical resource.
Telecommunication and networking. There are two types of communications. Interplanetary communication will mostly be used between Earth, other stations, and our settlement, not only for sending and receiving statuses to new discoveries and news, but also for the people from our settlement to communicate to their loved ones. Our station communication system is radio based, with two bands, S 2 to 4 GHz and K 18 to 27 GHz. When the sun blocks every line of communication, a protocol called the Snow Protocol will be activated that acts as a backup service for all the messages sent during it. Inside the station, people will be able to communicate and access the station's own internet from their smartwatches. Smartwatches will be smartphones' ID cards, bank accounts, and smartphones and keys replacements. Its benefits are increased convenience and control over the home environment, improve security as the user can monitor their home from anywhere in the world, and automatically turn off appliances when the user leaves the house. For propellers, both nuclear thermal propulsion or NTP and nuclear electric propulsion or NEP will be used. NTP can transport large amounts of resources while having a shorter travel time. We also won't have to worry about NTR fuel. Hydrogen is captured from electrolysis and uranium is found in asteroids. The NAP engines will help us stabilize the station's direction, and the spare helium from the fusion can be used as fuel. It also helps us leave Earth's orbit and gives us more control over our ship, as the NTRs will be powered once we are in space.
Area. The living layer is insignificant compared to the entire area of the spaceship, just like a city is smaller compared to its energy source. Every resource comes from the outside the town via transporters. MUS will be covered with piezoelectric floors and will have teams different each sector from the others, with 8 combined family houses on 2 floors, independent of each other.
Politics. We decided to split power equally between president and citizens in 50+1 votes. President will have subordinates to keep in place different aspects of citizens' life, and he can only incorporate rules with the permission of citizens. The most important principle in this work is the separation of powers in the state, because Rousseau said, "He who makes the laws must not have the power to legislate." Another principle emphasized by the author is, no citizen should be rich enough to buy another one, nor poor enough to be forced to sell it.
We want a young population because we believe in a future for our colony. Given that the peak of a human's career is between 50 to 54 years old, we will need 3% of them to run various industries. These professionals are vital to life on the settlement because they have the highest level of professional qualification. Potential candidates will go through several tests. They must be healthy, not in need of special medical assistance, and they should also have the ability to tell apart the right from the wrong.